Hello again, peeps. How we doing? Right. Well, as I'm tapping back, I'm thinking to myself, what can I talk about now? Yeah, and one of the things is the Falklands. Now, I wasn't involved in the Falklands War, but I did go down to the Falklands later on once the garrison had been set up. And during my time down there, it was during the winter, and I mean their winter, not ours. It was bitterly cold. It was blowing a hoolie. To the point where we had to do our battle fitness test inside the complex at Mount Pleasant. But one of the things I did do while I was out there was I went and did the battlefield tours. Yeah, so I went to Mount Longdon, Goose Green and places like that, and just witnessed what it was all about. And when you consider our guys that went down there, you know, their training, they'd gone to the Brecon Beacons, Senny Bridge area and that to do their training, ready to go down to the Falklands because it's a very similar terrain, very similar. But the training of the Falklands, and especially the weather and that, it was horrendous. To the point that the British Army, thanks to the old DMS boots, ended up with something that had only ever really been seen during the First World War, and that was trench foot. So we had guys that were going down with trench foot in the Falklands back in 1982, which, you know, you think about it, 1982, you wouldn't think so. Good morning, boss, how we doing? You wouldn't think, you know, something like trench foot would affect the British Army, but the old DMS boot wasn't the best. It was DMS boots and puttees, which, if you don't know what puttees are, they were just a piece of cloth that you used to wrap around your ankles. But the terrain down there and the when you looked at it and you thought about how the lads were, the Paras were tabbing, the Marines were yomping across all of this terrain and then having to get into a firefight and so on, you think, Christ almighty, you know, it was a real pitched battle. And from my understanding, I've got friends of mine that were down there during the war. It was hand-to-hand combat. It was brutal. It really was. But we keep going on about forgotten wars and so on. And again, the Falklands is one of those. Yeah. There's no real mention of it nowadays when the annual events come up. Same with the Gulf War. There's no mention of, you know, the anniversary of the Gulf War. I went to the 25th anniversary at the Arboretum, where we had the ambassador for Kuwait actually thank everyone for liberating Kuwait, which is marvellous. But we don't talk about all these forgotten wars. You know, so the Falklands, you know, Korea, Oman, Dhofar, Aden, Malaysia, you know, we don't talk about them. They're not publicised so much. And is it going to be the same when it comes down to the Iraq War from 2003 or Afghanistan? You know, we're now how far away from an anniversary for Afghanistan? Is there going to be anything? I very much doubt it. You know, it's something that it's been done, gone. Yeah, we remember the First and Second World Wars with remembrance, and those of us that have served always remember the other guys from the various other wars, such as Korea, Oman, Dhofar, and the Falklands, and Northern Ireland. I have my own views on that. People will say it wasn't a war. Yeah, tell me about it. You know, unless you've been there, it was a war at the end of the day. You know, you can say it's a conflict, you can say whatever it was, or an uprising, or the Troubles, as they call it. If that's trouble, Jesus Christ, we're in for a shock, aren't we? But here we are in today's sort of era, and we're looking at things such as what's happening around the world with Ukraine and so on. Now, I've seen various news articles recently about British forces being accused of atrocities and so on. My view on that is, yeah, if those guys have committed those atrocities, then they deserve to be banged away. Yeah, they may be soldiers, but in my eyes, if you've done something like that, you deserve what comes to you. I would expect to be treated humanely, and I'm pretty sure you guys would as well, if you'd have been captured or anything like that. But what's going on with these reports recently? We'll see what happens with the investigation. That's the big thing. You know, the newspapers get hold of it and they put it up, you know, about, oh, British soldiers have been involved in this, that and the other. But until the investigation's done and the reports come out, you don't really know what's going on. But like I say, when we took prisoners during the first Gulf War, we made sure they were treated humanely. Yeah, we made sure that they were fed water and so on, and I mentioned that earlier on. But there are loads of little forgotten wars going on at the moment. You've got a situation like with Ukraine. You've actually got the British forces are deployed out into Europe to try and protect the borders and everything. Yeah, there's a big exercise going on, as I understand it, with the British forces at the moment, working along with our NATO allies, yeah, to collaborate, you know, work together, understand the way that each other works. And we've been doing that for years. Yeah, I myself, I'll never forget, we went on an exercise in Denmark. Yeah, and we were working with the Danish army there. If I remember right, it was called Exercise Amber Express. Yeah, but we worked alongside the Danes. Great exercise. Went all around Denmark and everything. But we learned about how they work. They learned about the way that we work. We've also done, over the years, various exchange programs with the Americans, with the Canadians, with the Australians. I'll never forget, I was supposed to go on exercise Long Look. I got given a place on Long Look. I was going to be replacing the electrician sergeant from the Australian Army out there. And I was disappointed with my OC because he decided to send someone else who wasn't my trade because he wanted to take me to Bosnia instead. I know which one I wanted to do, and it definitely wasn't Bosnia. Yeah, but it's exchange programs. Yeah, we need to understand how we're going to work alongside the other armies. What with Ukraine at the moment, you know, we've had Ukrainian soldiers coming over to the UK to be trained by the British Army, yeah, to understand tactics and so on. It's one of those things that we all need to do. There's no two ways about it. It's no good not understanding how things work. I know during the first Gulf War, the French turned up and disappeared off into the middle of nowhere. There was signals going around, you know, if you see the French army, can you please let us know where they are? But I've been on various exchange programs before with various forces. I've enjoyed it, you know, working with the other guys, the Germans especially. Working with them, you know, understanding how they were working. Like I say, when I was at Münsterlager, we had the tank regiment down the road. Morning, guys. Morning. Buzzard sat there, is it? Oh, Christ.
Are you making a programme?
Yeah, what it is, I've got a YouTube channel where I do things various on nature. I'm one of the flood wardens for the local area, so I've been doing stuff on that as well. But, I always like to come out and see the nature and that, and to see a buzzard that close, Christ. I don't know if you guys can see that, but he's in the tree there. There you go. Anyway, you guys have a good day. This is what I like about walking down this this track here. Everyone's so friendly, or the majority of people, really friendly, want to talk and understand what each other's doing. It's great. And like he says there's a buzzard sat in a tree, and literally we're quite, we're really close to it. And he's not worried, he's surveying the land and looking for his next feed. But like I say, the exchanges with various armies has to go on. I know Keith did a thing about blue on blue the other day. Again, during the Gulf War, we lost 2 Warrior vehicles from the RRF, whereby the Americans decided that they were Iraqi vehicles and fired upon them. Shouldn't have happened, with the technology that was available. Myself, I was what they call an AFV instructor, armoured fighting vehicles. We used to teach the lads how to recognise things like T-55, T-64, T-72s and everything like that. In fact, during the Gulf War, a lot of the guys, because I used to listen to helicopters quite a bit, and I could actually tell you what a helicopter was before I'd even seen it, just from the sound of it. But most of the guys used to say, if nobody starts running, run with him, because we're in a deep poo. Yeah? But by working with other agencies and forces around the world, we get to understand their equipment, get to recognise their equipment. Unfortunately, with the blue and blue instance, and this is personally my opinion, I don't think there's ever been a blue on blue incident where the British Army's fired on the Americans. But there's been numerous ones where the Americans have fired on us. So maybe they need to do some AFV recognition. Maybe bring them over to the UK. I don't know if the British Army still does it, I'm pretty sure they do. They come over and they get educated by our guys on armoured fighting vehicle recognition. And do it that way. But there you go. Right, anyway, I'm going to carry on tabbing home. Like I say, if you're new to the channel and you're wondering what this is all about, please consider following the channel, see what happens. Look back through some of the other videos that I've done. Not telling you to do it. You've got your own minds, you do what you want. But please consider it. But until the next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and as Keith would say, let's tab.